Welcome back to my second Tarisland video. I'm still enjoying the game, okay? I'm 70 or 80 hours in right now, and I'm enjoying it. So what I wanted to bring you today was just some basic sort of mini tips, tricks, and maybe small guides on what to do if you're going to be a day one player. If you see my last video, which is like a 50+ hour review on the game, maybe, hopefully, you're thinking, oh, you know what? I'll give it a go. It's free to play. Why not? I'll download it. So if you do, hopefully you find these 10 quick tips and tricks and mini guides helpful to you. If you do, obviously let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know if you knew them all. Let me know if you knew more than these that I'm going to give out here. There are more, by the way. This isn't the 10 most defining. I think these like beginner basic guides to help you start playing the game, just to give you a bit of a better understanding. But yeah, comment section down below, let me know. Also, let me know if you make it to the end of the video. I'm starting to get people comment now that when they are making to the end of these videos, try to make them a little bit quicker and snappier. And yeah, one last time, if you're enjoying things, come check me out over on Twitch. We are live streaming Tarisland almost every single day. The main days I stream though are Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 6 PM UK time. At the moment though, with Tarisland booming at the minute for me, I'm streaming almost every single day. So yeah, drop me a follow over there and subscribe to the channel and like the video if you think it's useful. Okay, tip number 1. On day 1, create as many characters as you possibly can. So the main reason for this is you get daily rewards in the game, and as long as you just log into that character, some of them you can just collect, literally just log in, collect, log back out. Okay, so if you play one character and that's your main, you play it all the way up to level 40, for example, you spend whatever 30, 40, 50 hours on the character, and then you decide to go make your second character, you've missed out on all those daily rewards. So basically, make as many characters as you possibly can on the server until it maxes you out, and then play your main as normal. But every single day, just quickly log into those characters, collect the daily rewards where they're flashing red on your screen, pick those up, and then when you do come to play that second or third or fourth character, you've already got a handful of like cheeky little rewards sat there ready and waiting. Tip number 2. So you're gonna go make all those characters. Try and split them up if you can, and make at least one of each class sort of type. So you've got obviously your DPS, your tank, and your healer. This is like most of the MMOs, okay? There are fewer tanks and healers than there are DPSs, and there are definitely fewer good healers that I've experienced anyway. So yeah, try and make a DPS character, try and make a tank character, and try and make a healing character. It's definitely going to be more helpful as well. Basically everybody plays DPS because on average it's the easier one to play, but I'll be honest, tanking isn't very hard in this game. Healing isn't much hard either, to be honest, compared to tanking, so don't be too scared about making those. And all groups are always looking for tanks, always looking for healers. So if you want to get like in those groups faster as well, make sure you've got a tank and a healer somewhere they're ready to play. And obviously it stops you playing from bots as well. This game does have bots, but by that I don't mean the ones that go around gathering all the stuff. I mean if you go to enter a dungeon and let's say there's just no tanks on, nobody applying, after a certain amount of time, the game will give you a bot tank similar to what you had in Guild Wars 1, where you could just go and choose a healer, choose a mesmer, whatever. They have a little bot thing. So yeah, tip number 2 is make sure you try and create a variation of classes. So you've got your DPS, your tank, and your healer. Tip number 3, you're going to go into the character screen here, and you're going to go click on your attributes. This game is quite easily sort of guiding you in the right direction. Depending on what class you play and then what sort of like archetype within that class, it will tell you what attribute you're looking for on your gear. So every time you pick up a piece of loot, those attributes can actually change, by the way. So that's just a mini tip off the side. You might drop like an int omni piece, for example. You can go back into the dungeon and get another drop of that, and it might be now like int focus, for example. So yeah, keep an eye on that. But the game tells you what attributes to get, and it tells you from left to right on your screen now what is the most important. So obviously whatever's first on the list, you want to try and be stacking as much as that as possible, and then whatever's second and third, try and stack it in those orders, and that'll definitely help boost all your sort of characters' DPS or healing or tanking abilities depending on what you pick. Tip number 4, you've now got your server choice. So obviously the servers all around the world, your EU, your South America, whatever. Obviously pick a server that's closest to you for ping differences and all that kind of stuff. But here's how the servers work. So let's say, for example, on EU, you've got EU 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you get onto EU 1, all of the guilds that are created on EU 1 are exclusive to EU 1. So if you're on there with all your friends and you're on the same guild, happy days. If you happen to log into, say, EU 3 for some reason and create a guild, it'll be a completely different guild and your friends can't cross-play. But so long as you're all on the same continent and servers, so if you and your friends are on EU 1, 2, 3, or 4, same in North America, 1, 2, 3, or 4, as long as it's on the same like EU or NA, you can still cross-play all of your dungeons and all of your raids and all of that kind of stuff in your PvP groups and stuff. I don't think you can see each other in the open world. But yeah, that's how that works. Tip number 5, there's a system in this game called Vigor. This is one of the most mobile-esque mechanics in the game. Basically, every time you gather or every time you craft or refine, you use your Vigor points, and these Vigor points are renewed by time, so very mobile-y. There are boosts that you can do, or sort of like leveling up within your craft and profession, and which speeds this up. So I think the base start is every 15 minutes you get 1 Vigor back. That's really, really time consuming, especially you only pick up 1 or 2 items in terms of gathering, and that Vigor's gone again. So yeah, you want to make sure that you use your passives to speed that up as best as possible. And then also you've got things in the game like stamina potions that you can get from chests or daily and weekly events. And then you've got fishing. You can catch certain fish, and when you consume them, you get Vigor there as well. So yeah, just bear in mind that Vigor system is really annoying. It's the most mobile-esque thing in the game, but there you go. Tip number 6, you have dungeon sort of like amounts that you can run. Okay, so each dungeon has like a normal mode, an elite mode, a challenge mode, same with raids and stuff like that. You can click on the screen there and it'll show you how many runs you can do daily. Now, in terms of normal dungeon runs, you can do as many of them as you want. And in fact, you can do as many of the elite ones as you want, or the challenge mode ones as you want. But there is a limit each day for how many rewards you can get. So if you're chasing items from a specific dungeon, once you run out of that, so it's like 6 for elite dungeons, for example, that's it. You can go back in and do a 7th run and an 8th run, but no sort of items then come out of the chests. One sort of mini tip to go along with this, if you get the item called Lucky Coin, should you open a chest, for example, in an elite dungeon, it doesn't matter if that's your 6th run of the day, 8th run of the day, doesn't matter. You can then use the Lucky Coin system to roll another item out of that same chest if you so wish. They're quite sort of rare, those lucky tokens, so don't just waste those. Tip number 7, in-game guides for dungeons and raids. I'm not gonna lie, this is completely taking me out of a job here when it comes to YouTube. If you sub to my channel, go through my videos, especially back on New World, all my highest performing videos are the dungeon guide ones. So it is literally stealing me and taking me out of a job. I could probably expand on some of those, but it basically, before you enter a dungeon or an elite dungeon, if you're a bit wary, or a raid, there is a function in there where it'll tell you all the mechanics. For each boss, for each part of the fight, it breaks it all down. Now, some of the language conversion, because I presume this was originally written in Chinese, isn't the greatest. You will find the odd mechanic where you're like, huh? What? Doesn't really make much sense, but there or thereabouts, 80-90% of the time, they're not too bad. So yeah, make sure you read those guides before you go into dungeons. It'll make it a heck of a lot easier, and then nobody will be sort of calling you out in chat saying, bro, you don't know what you're doing. Tip number 8, similar to that last one. For each dungeon sort of type, so you've got your elite mode, you've got your challenge mode, all that kind of stuff. Even for the raids, there's a minimum requirement or a minimum recommended, not requirement. It doesn't actually stop you from entering the dungeon if your, you know, hit rating, for example, isn't good enough, or if you don't have enough stamina, you know, for example. But it will tell you what the requirement levels are. So if you find yourself on this attribute screen with all reds on the right hand side, red color, that's bad. That means that you need to up your gear really before doing that run. On some occasions, it's a little bit impossible. You need to do that run in order to get the gear from that, from that sort of dungeon roll, which will then boost you up. But yeah, there or thereabouts, make sure you're trying to hit greens on all of these, or at least on most of them. Some of them, like physical events, for example, maybe if you're a range player, get away with it. But there or thereabouts, yeah, try and make sure you're hitting greens on all of these, and then you're not going in underpowered. Tip number 9, there are PvP timers in this game. I'll try and pop them up on screen now. Make sure you play the PvP whilst it's active. I think there's some kind of like China rule or law or whatever where they basically don't want their kids playing games 24/7. So the main PvP sort of group mode is locked from midnight until I think it's like 8 AM in the morning. I'll put the times on screen. But yeah, so you can't play those modes all the way through the night. And then the PvP arenas, which have just come out as well, they literally pop up for like an hour or two, like 2 or 3 times in the game. So just as soon as, if you like PvP, make sure you jump into them straight away, and then you're not wasting any time. Tip number 10, make sure you customize your UI. This is completely preferential, what you prefer. I've barely changed mine. I know healers will probably make some of the team members sort of like bigger so they can click on them easier. It's easier than tapping around and specific healing. But yeah, have a play around with it. I'll show you where to go on the menu now. Click through, have a play around, customize your entire layout, make sure it's sort of like comfortable for your character and what you need in your class. And then just, yeah, it just makes it easier to play and have everything on the screen that you need. And then the final one is just like a bonus tip. Just kind of like play this game for what it is. I mentioned this in the sort of like 50-hour review video that I put on my channel a day or two ago. Look, this is not a triple, you know, it's not like almost like a AAA MMO. It's not going to be probably something you main and you play 50 hours a week for the next 6 months, 1 year. We don't quite know. It depends how the content comes out in this game. But play for what it is. You know what I mean? It's pretty decent. There's some good mechanics in the game, some fun mechanics in the game. The combat's okay. It is old styled and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like the elite dungeon runs and the raids and the world bosses and stuff, some of those mechanics are really, really fun. Especially if you play with a team, or even if you play with randomers, it can be a bit challenging and fun. But that'll be my last tip. If all or any of these were helpful, again, comment section down below. Come and check me out over on Twitch. I'll put all the links on screen now. Like and subscribe, all the standard stuff. And we'll see you in the next one.